guest. And joining me now is anti-racism educator Tim Wise. Tim, thank you so much for coming back. You came on this show, and in our interviews, you have made it very clear that the way you run against somebody like Donald Trump is to make it clear what he is. Here are a few candidates doing just that. Listen to this real quick.
He can't keep trying to stir this up, give aid and comfort, be embraced by the white supremacists, and then say, oh, but not me.
You think that President Trump is a white supremacist?
I do.
Is the president a white supremacist?
He is.
One of your 2020 rivals, Congressman Beto O'Rourke, told me this morning that he believes President Trump is a white supremacist or a white nationalist. Do you agree?
I do.
Based on his words and actions, yes, he is a white supremacist.
It seems evident to me that seems to be his belief, sure. Yeah.
Now, with the caveat, though, that Joe Biden, the frontrunner, and Kamala Harris have sort of shied back. They've gone one step back from that and just said they don't say he's a white supremacist. They say he's, encouraging white supremacy. Do you think these candidates are on the right track?
Well, certainly compared to where they were before. I mean, I think this is important. This election is not simply about what you will do as president. It's about who we are as a nation. That is the existential question that is posed by Trumpism. And in order for Democrats to be able to have a chance to end not just the Trump presidency, but Trumpism as a political threat, they have to frame that threat as the existential crisis that it is. I would even go further. I would say the slogan needs to be, we do not negotiate with terrorists any longer, because Trumpism is terrorizing families in Mississippi, ripping parents from children, terrorizing families at the border, and even more, terrorizing the fundamental principles that we as a nation claim that we adhere to. It is time to go all in on those principles. The slogan is, make America America, because we have always been two things, one the ideal and one the practice. The practice has never met the ideal. It is time for candidates to talk about that. We'll get to the policy later, but unless they frame it as an existential threat, I don't think they have a chance. So I'm glad to see this turn. I hope it continues and gets even more precise as they move forward in the campaign.
Well, give a little help. Give them the language, because, Tim, you and I both know that one of the things the Democrats obsessed most about in the world is white voters. They're really worried about white voters in the Midwest. They think that's the be-all and end-all. How do they talk to those voters in a way? Because then they're afraid of scaring them. How do they talk to those people?
Well, the reality is those voters are scared. That's why they're voting for Trump in the first place. So you have one candidate whose entire message is a politic of prejudice and fear. The way that you respond to a politic of fear is with a politic of hope and optimism about a better future. And not just a better future for some, but a better future for all. So yes, the candidates need good plans, but those folks they're worried about are not sitting in their kitchen or in their, study at night or in their living room or out on the porch looking at 10-point policy proposals on a website. They want to know what this country is going to be like in coming years for everybody's children, for everyone's family. So yes, you want to get some of those voters, but let's be very clear. The Trump base, they are not going to move. As we talked about last time, when I worked in the campaigns against David Duke, even though people knew he was a Nazi, from the 1990 Senate race to the 91 governor's race, he retained over 90% of his original voters. Why? Because in order for them to turn on Duke in 91, they would have to admit they voted for a monster. People don't want to admit they did that. So you need to supercharge the base. You need to get those reasonable Republicans who say they're against Trump to not just sit on their sofa at home and not vote at all. They have to go vote for a Democrat. They're going to have to suck it up and actually fight for the country. And they're going to do that if there is a message of unity and progressive values moving forward. Whereas if it's on policy, we got 30 million different policies. No one can agree. What we ought to agree on are the principles of the country itself. And those are the things that are under attack right now.
Joe Biden, who's the front runner, launched his campaign on the Charlottesville message and said we have to fight that. But he has been less, what you're saying. He's been a lot less direct about it. Are you concerned that the ultimate candidate will wind up hedging because they're so afraid that there'll be a deplorables backlash if they say what you're saying?
Well, I'm worried that whoever the candidate is, they may come to that place and they may have consultants advise them as such. I hope they will think better of listening to them, because the truth is this is not a normal election, and we've discussed it before. You cannot treat Trump and Trumpism like a normal campaign. It may be possible, let me say this, it may be possible to squeak out a victory against Trump with a number of different strategies. You may be able to cobble together the electoral votes, but this election can't just be about beating Trump. It has has to be about repudiating Trumpism, because if only Trump loses, you got Turning Point USA where they're trying to clone this guy, and Trumpism can come back again with, frankly, brighter management, and we don't need that.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim Wise, they think they're starting to listen to you. I hope they listen to you more. We're just going to keep putting you on TV until they get it. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you really much. Thank you very much. Coming up, the 2020 candidates.